Northwest. How is everyone doing? Happy New Year. I hope that you and your families are doing well. I was guided to actually jump off of a different platform that I'm normally on and come on here, do a live reading for everyone. And I was guided to call the reading from snake to horse. So it's a bridge from the year of the snake to the year of the horse. And if you see, if you're being guided here, it is a fundraiser for families in the Pacific Northwest, specifically Oregon, where I am, that have lost access to their food assist, etc. Um, I know that I have been in that boat in warmer climates before, and it's very different than being in that boat somewhere where it's getting ready to snow. Lots of programs are losing their funding thanks to all this wonderful stuff happening in DC right now. And so, the way I was raised, your wealth isn't measured by what you have, it's measured by what you're able to share with others. And if I have a phone and I have my deck of cards that's been with me for almost 25 years, and I have the ancestors tapping me on the shoulder saying, hey, it's time to go live and help how you can, then that's what I'm going to be able to do. So I say a prayer for everybody that is going to catch this live, for everyone that is going to watch it after the fact. Again, praying for you and your families that you're being blessed with everything you need in the year 2026 with grace, ease, joy, and least effort. I know that 2025 was a tough year for just about everyone. And if anything, it taught us the importance of resilience and it taught us the importance of working together as a community to help our communities and make sure that the most vulnerable have what they need, not only to survive, but to thrive, to um, continue to pursue their dreams, to continue to um, be who they came here to be. So it's interesting that we're talking about the year of the snake and we're talking about the year of the horse. So right now we are in the midst of, we're basically on a bridge. And what that is, the year that we're leaving behind, 2025, was a 9 year. So it was all about completions. Not necessarily endings, but it was a completion of a cycle that had been going on for 9 years, where just about everybody was thinking that they had to settle for less than what they wanted, what they needed, and what they deserved. And what happened was a lot of people got stuck in karmic loops, whether it was with a person or with a job or a place they were living. And towards the end of last year, some people even were in the midst of disasters or not so natural disasters, things like that, where they were literally being, I just heard the word divorced, from karmic loops. So when you think about a snake, some people are afraid of snakes and things like that. I've had snakes, worked around snakes my whole life. I prefer the ones that are animal brothers and sisters to the two-legged version, if you know what I mean. Um, and snakes are all about shedding old skin of fear, of limited beliefs, of scarcity, of stories that we tell ourselves, why we can't succeed at doing things or what have you. Snake can be very grounded, but there comes a time where snake outgrows its skin. And so what happened with 2025 is the snake was shedding those old skins of fear. And a lot of us have felt it. And most people don't know that when a snake sheds the old skin of fear, that the new skin underneath is very tender. And sometimes it will take about a week or more for the old skin to become hardened enough that it can go back out into the world. So, What does the snake do in the meantime? It hides. It finds a nice warm log or a rock or something to hide under where it can not only rest and kind of, recoup its energy, but it can also be safe. So, the snake will alternate between going somewhere to hide and kind of basking in the light, basking in the rays of the sun, to get ready for that next phase of its life. And so a lot of people have either been hiding this past week, this first week of January, or because they feel, extremely vulnerable, or, they're like a snake curled up, on the rock, absorbing as much sunlight as they possibly can. Myself, I've had some amazing experiences with just downloads from the sun and upgrades and messages and seeing hieroglyphics from Egypt and star codes. And if you know about that stuff, you know about that stuff. It was absolutely amazing. So, that is, if you're in that boat right now, if you're finding yourself needing to, kind of take some time, kind of being away from the crowd, if you have exited, a 9 year relationship or job that wasn't fulfilling or left a place that wasn't fulfilling or what have you, that can take some adjusting. And, we, on the 1st of January, we went into um, the 10 years. So that cycle closed out. Okay, so now we're in a 10-year Wheel of Fortune finally turning back in favor of humanity. You're seeing it in decisions that people are making that aren't just revolving around them, but around other people. You're seeing it in unexpected, job offers or the wheel turning where good people that you hadn't been able to get a hold of for years are now popping back up in your life, magically popping back up or apologizing or offering to help you with things when they wouldn't help before. And we just came out of a wolf full moon. So I'm not surprised that wolf is the first card that is popping up. So wolf is all about leadership. That full moon was in Cancer. Lots of people were bawling their eyes out, having extremely vivid dreams. And what it was doing was reminding them of who they really are, where they really come from, why they're really here. The reason it was doing that is because everybody shed that old skin of fear. It's like, well, where do we go from here? Oh, hey, guess what? We don't need to, learn anything new. We don't need to scramble to pick up a new skill or whatever. We just need to remember. And so that's what that full moon did. Lots of people, it was kind of like tipping over I just saw like a crystal bowl, full of punch, whatever, and it's just spilling everywhere. And it was making room for something better. And so that's what that full moon did is lots of people just overflowing, right? My cup runneth over. I was actually talking with a few elders and they were laughing because their bathtub overflowed or their sink overflowed or their cup of coffee kept spilling over, things like that. And I said, oh, your cup runneth over. And they just started laughing, because you have to look at it in that way. And if you look at the word wolf and you turn it, the word backwards, it's flow. So basically, the wolf moon, everybody's crying tears of release, tears of hope, tears of joy, tears of how do you say, prayers going up for whatever's going on, right? And, literally just asking us to flow. And when it comes to the medicine cards, which is what we're working with right now, the 15 goes to a 6, and that 6 is more emotional energy. It's Venus, it's the morning star, it's divine feminine energy. So the other thing that Wolf Moon was teaching us is that, we have a lot of leaders right now, in the spotlight, what have you, that would like us to believe that the alphas are the ones who lead the pack, when in actuality, the alpha wolves are not the ones who lead the pack. The parents are, because the parents are the ones that have the most vested interest in making sure that the pack survives, for the good of the young. The young are the future. So without the young, there is no future. So when you look at all those energies combined, I'm saying all that to say basically, we shed those old skins of fear with the year of the snake. We came into the full moon with the wolf energy and the Cancerian energy, which again is also extremely intuitive. So a lot of people were having very vivid dreams. Might not have made sense in the moment. I was having dreams about the Pleiades and all kinds of amazing stuff going on. One of my elders had taught me that, if you have a dream, you're not quite sure what it means, wake up, write it down in your notebook, and just let it marinate for like 3 days. Come back, say a prayer, look at it with fresh eyes, and it'll all start to make sense. And that's what the full moon does. As the full moon reaches her highest point in the sky, she starts to illuminate whatever is needed in that moment. So, as far as where we are right now, we are in the season of Capricorn, and Capricorn is earth energy. It can be very pragmatic, it can be focused around money, it can seem a little bit harsh. Some people, end up feeling like a scapegoat, right? So, when you're feeling extra vulnerable after having shed an old skin, it's really important to not only remember who you are, but to allow your ancestors to kind of guide you, right? In a gentle way. You would think that wolf is something that is, again, alpha energy and push forward and all this other stuff. But, wise wolves know that when you're dealing with winter, you're dealing with frozen, tundra and all kinds of things. Sometimes you got to move a little slower, you know. And in actuality, with the original calendar that we used to follow, April was the new year because that's when the snow breaks, that's when we get the sun, melting all the ice, everything else, so I forget who the heck decided to switch New Year's to January, but doesn't mean that we have to, rush forward and get everything figured out and everything done, within a week or what have you, especially going from the year of the snake into the year of the horse. So, what's happening now with the year of the horse is the year of the horse is the year of the fire horse. So, it's not just a horse, it's a horse that has nothing but excitement and passion and love. Valentine's Day going to be really interesting this year. So, if you have a love of horses, you know that horses have something called horse sense. It's kind of sort of like ESP. They sense magnetic fields from more than 6 feet away. They don't match energy, they alchemize it, And horses do not tolerate, venomous snakes. They will literally pound them into dust in the ground. So what you're going to see is you're going to see shifts of energy from the snake to the horse. Snake taught us to ground, it taught us to shed old skins of fear. Snake is all about transmutation, that kind of stuff. And that energy is always going to be with us. The snake can form a circle, reminding us that true power moves in a circle. There's no greater power than the power of love. It can form into a figure eight, which represents infinite protection, healing, love, abundance, whatever you need it to, right? Well, then going into that horse energy, like towards February, you're going to feel it before February. You're going to start to feel that heat. I just heard that song from back in the day, Feel the Heat, right? Um, you're going to feel that heat start to melt the snow, start to melt the ice, start to soften the edges, start to move things forward, right? And with that, there's a path that's going to be leading to that horse. And when you reach that horse, that's when you're meant to be carried. A lot of people, carried the world on their shoulder in 2025. We're not meant to do that anymore in 2026. We're meant to allow the horse to carry us. Horses represent nobility and endurance, and that's what's going to carry us forward. So it's interesting, we're going from the wolf to the frog. Frog represents leaping over obstacles. also represents soulmates, and it represents honoring your own song. So you might be a singer watching this, you might be someone who loves to sing in the shower. You might be somebody that's learning to use your voice to heal, with working with Reiki or, any number of things. But if, think of it, if you find an obstacle in your path, there's a lot of adjusting that's going to happen between the year of the snake, the year of the horse. Don't be afraid to leap over that obstacle. The frog is both, on land and on water. So there's something to be said about remaining flexible, but also water. Make sure you're staying hydrated. If you need to take a salt bath, take a salt bath. There's nothing that clears off, funky energy from the old years like a salt bath. If you can't take a salt bath, you can make a salt scrub. I just heard someone say, "Drink a margarita." Well, margarita is double, um, how do you say, double benefit. It's got the salt ring and, uh, you know, keeps away all the negativity at the same time. I'm just kidding. If somebody's, with AA or what have you, and you can't drink, there's no shame in that. That's what Martinelli's is for. So, get in where you fit in and, ask your ancestors to help you kind of navigate these messages that are coming through to help for your highest good. We're going from snake into the present. So for me, that's not only saying to focus on the present tense, focus on the now. When you're in the now, you've already won. If you've heard, the book, The Power of Now, that might be a good thing for you to read. But it's also reminding you that every day is a gift. Yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, today's a gift. That's why it's called the present. So if you stay present in the moment and, even do meditation each morning where ask your ancestors to show you the gift of the day, right? And just close your eyes, put your hand on your heart. You can hear Athena saying hello, and whatever you see in your mind's eye that's a positive image. It could be a flower, it could be a bird or butterfly, it could be, a winning lottery ticket. Whatever it is, pay attention to it, write it in your journal, let it go, and then watch how it manifests, and or magnetizes into your life that day. It's a really amazing practice to do that. It's called a gratitude practice. The more we're grateful for, the more we have to be grateful for and to share with others. So the next card is wild boar. And if you look at wild boar, if you've ever lived in Hawaii or Scotland for that matter, wild boars are tough, and um, it's kind of like that saying, being tough as a mother. It's not only being nurturing and protecting the vulnerable, but also protecting, your own goals. Athena, why are you trying to get in the bathroom? I swear this cat is something else. It can also represent confrontation. So some people, within the next 48 hours of seeing this, you may see somebody that tries to use you as a scapegoat or challenge your boundaries or what have you, and try and find the humor in it if you can. You can even tell them, hey, just because the sun is in Capricorn right now doesn't mean you can use me as a scapegoat. Whether they know astrology or not, most people are astute enough to, kind of break that down for themselves. So the next card that we have here is bear. And it's funny, I just heard bear with me. I think Athena is trying to steal the show here. Bear is the number 5, which can also represent conflict. But if you look at the bear, sometimes bears walk on all fours and sometimes they stand on 2 legs. So, when that bear stands on 2 legs, I don't care how tough somebody thinks they are, they're going to listen. You might be called to a situation as mama bear where, you're kind of ambling along and somebody tries to test your boundaries and you got to stand up and, literally stand on business. Show them what's up, to protect those babies, to protect the vulnerable. If you do come into a situation where you got to stand on your hind legs, you got to stand up like Mama Bear, just know you're not standing alone. Your ancestors are standing, behind you, in front of you, and on both sides. Five can also represent Leo, so you may have somebody coming into your life who's a Leo, who is going to be, I just heard the words immense support and saw the support with a dollar sign in it. So they may be supporting financial as well. It's funny, my live just said 2017. So that could be a important year for somebody. So the next card that we have coming out is Hawk. And Hawk is a bringer of good news, protector of women and children. So that two is kind of giving me the feeling of a meeting. So I'm hearing a meeting of worlds, a meeting of minds, a meeting of hearts. You might see a hawk either flying around or you might see one on your social media. That's just letting you know the good news is coming. I just heard help to prevent an eviction. I just heard finding a cure. There's a lot of messages that are coming to me. If anybody is resonating with that, I just got goosebumps. If you're wanting me to do a personal session, reach out to me and I'm more than happy to do that, especially if you are facing any kind of ailment that needs, extra support. All of the readings that I do are, not only inspired and ancestors telling me, hey, somebody needs you, jump on your live, but they're also Reiki infused. So if you're feeling, tingling in your hands, you're feeling tingling in your crown chakra, your heart's warming up, that is not an accident. That's Reiki coming through for you at this moment, however you need it. You're free to accept or deny it, whatever area you need it to go to. Reiki is its own intelligence. So, if you're sitting here and you're like, oh man, I'm on my way into work, I just felt this tingling energy, I don't know what it is, I'm going to come back around and listen to the full message, and then you feel like you're inspired to reach out to me, literally more power to you. Reiki is something people think came from Japan and it came through Japan, but it didn't come from Japan. It actually came from Tibet and older than that back to Atlantis, Lemuria, etc. So, Reiki was actually something that was brought from Japan to Hawaii during the war because it was so effective that the people were chased out of Japan because the government hospitals didn't want Reiki practitioners to upstage them or what have you, So don't ever let anyone tell you that Reiki is woo woo or doesn't help things or what have you, because I tell you, I've helped everybody from DV survivors to veterans, people with PTSD, people transcending cancer, everything else. So if you're seeing this message and you're feeling any kind of tingling energy, you're feeling it for a reason, especially because these cards are being pulled for a good cause to help families that have lost their food assist in the middle of winter. And, we're coming up on some snow here. So if anyone's ever lived anywhere like, Montana and the States, Switzerland, anywhere like that, you know what it's like to be taking care of families, in the winter. So the next card that we're bringing out is Hummingbird. And hummingbird is joy. Okay. Hummingbird is fearless joy. It's being supported to fly in whatever direction is needed to, I just heard, reconnect with your joy and your peace. So my mantra for 2026 is nothing but bliss in 2026. A lot of people that I know have put dollar signs in the, bliss because, 2025 was a doozy. So everybody's kind of stepping up, shaking it off, reconnecting with their divine inheritance, and not only bringing in enough to support their families, but to help others as well, especially people that have been through floods, fires, you name it, right? Okay, so hummingbird is a 44, which is a master number. So, you think of a hummingbird as being, small, it's like compared to an eagle, but hummingbirds are wicked smart. They are incredible survivalists. They are amazing parents, and those colors of the rainbow that promise healing new beginnings for the good of all after the flood. That's exactly what's happening. Every storm runs out of rain, and after every storm comes a rainbow. So, sometimes rainbows come in places that we didn't expect, like a hummingbird. So if you see a hummingbird, if you're lucky to live in a warmer climate right now, or if you see one on social media, there is your sign that better times are right around the corner. Last card for tonight is possum, which is be prepared for the unexpected. It can also be a advice not to be afraid to play possum once in a while. Sometimes your best defense is pretending like you don't have one. There's a lot of bullies out there right now that think if they're bigger, if they're louder, if they're stronger, that they could just muscle their way through. Possum is nocturnal, so telling you, situational awareness, be aware of your surroundings at night, but it's also talking about opportunities popping up that you didn't expect. And to remember that, it's okay to not feel ready to accept an opportunity. Sometimes it's a matter of, mental house cleaning. Sometimes it's a matter of, feeling the fear and doing it anyway, because we know that fear is just an acronym, false evidence appearing real. And like I said, coming out of the year of the snake, a lot of people are feeling, extra vulnerable or more vulnerable than normal, right? And that's okay. Don't be afraid to take this first week of January and just self care, self love. Don't feel guilty for taking time to yourself. Let your ancestors, stand under the sun. Let all of their wisdom pour into the top of your head, all the way down to the bottoms of your feet, just like whatever healing you're feeling right now. And just let yourself be replenished. And when those opportunities come up for you to be, more than what you expected in 2026, trust that your ancestors are going to give you everything you need. They're going to lead you every step of the way, until you can get to that fire horse, jump up, and that horse is going to carry you the rest of the way. Okay, so I love you guys all with every fiber of my being, the bottom of my heart. My contact is on my page if anybody wants a personal reading and or Reiki session. All the readings that I do are Reiki infused as well, so you can look that up. Actually, the founder of Earth Wisdom Reiki, which combines ancestral modalities. So you can look about that on my page as well. And I'm holding all of you in my prayers. Nothing but bliss in 2026. I've got a new book coming out you guys are going to love. So stay tuned because the best is literally yet to come. All right. You guys have a great night. Feel free to go back and watch the rest of the reading. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me if you want a personal reading for yourself or a loved one. If you need, any support, I work with missing and murdered Indigenous women. I work with DV survivors. I work with veterans who are transcending PTSD. No question is too big or too small. If you were led here, you're led here for a reason. You're important. You belong here. It's time to remember who you are and piece the rest and best together. All right? Have a beautiful night, amazing new year, and I will talk with you very soon. Thank you guys all for your support and prayer and beyond, and we'll talk then.